so we did already kind of start the talk before we started recording. But the first question was... I already forgot the first Same game, different levels. Same hell, different devils. So you may go through something that could be minor to me, but you still feel the pain of that, or the struggle with it. And then if I go through something way worse, I mean, you can still empathize, but still acknowledge maybe that it's worse. But because it's your life, you're going to feel something more significant than, you know, being empathetic towards someone else. But is it valid that we all feel different pain levels on things, I guess?
Well, I think absolutely, because it deals with your perception of that level or of the circumstance. You could have a circumstance. Well, let's give an example. Let's say we're sitting here and you spill your coffee in your lap and it's hot coffee. Okay, you're going to be into oh crap mode. Immediately you're jumping back. You're embarrassed because you've spilled your coffee. You're hurting because you got hot coffee in your lap. My reaction to that may be to start laughing. Now, would I understand that you're having a bad moment and that your coffee is hot in your lap? Yeah, but I would have a different reaction to it. Now, in the aftermath, if I'm laughing, you might be pissed off and, what the hell are you laughing at, man? That sucked. And I could sympathize. Well, yeah, that does suck. I've had that happen to me before too, but I got through it. It's a bad 5 minutes, so we're going to let it ruin the entire day.
But that person having a bad day is still a valid thing.
Yes.
Okay.
And that's the thing. You spilled your coffee in your lap. Yes, that is a bad few minutes for you, man. That's a bad circumstance. You have every right to feel what you're feeling about it, and it's what you do with it after that becomes important.
So you wouldn't have the right to bitch about it the whole day.
Well, you could vent about it, and we could talk about it, but over dinner tonight, I may expect a comment to another person there, man, I spilled my coffee on my lap today, it sucked. And that be it, rather than all day long. I can't believe I spilled my coffee. Yeah, I changed my pants, but it still sucked. And now I got to wash my clothes, and now I got to do this. And I don't want to hear about it all day.
Right.
It was a bad 5 minutes.
And so you're saying what you do with it is more important. And for anyone watching, it's not actually just about coffee, right? We're talking about an actual situation. So that could be anything. Like, I don't know, let's even say a relationship. I know it could be a more long-term thing. Let's say you broke up with a partner that you've been with for however many months, maybe even years, who knows. Is that the end of the world? Probably not. I mean, even if it's been like a marriage, right, which is way more important, you're gonna get through whatever it is. So you say bad 5 minutes, not a bad life. Okay, you could even say bad couple of years, not a bad life. It can go that far.
Well, yeah, there are situations. I mean, you talk about divorce. Okay, having been through a few. Yes, as that relationship breaks off, I'm missing valuable pieces of my life that have been part of it for a long time. My friend may understand, oh yeah, that sucks, but then his thing is, let's go out tonight and have a few drinks and get back in the mix. Well, I have a grieving process to go through with a relationship, and depending on how serious the relationship was and how long it lasted, there may be a grieving process. And those around me, they're still going to go home at night to their family or their situation, and nothing has changed for them. But my life has changed dramatically. But should I try to drag them down and spend the entire time talking with them and bitching about my ex and complaining about the problems and trying to deflect any part I had in that situation? And should I make that what my life is about anytime I'm around you? If I do that, you're going to become sick of hanging out with me real soon.
Well, and I think that's what a lot of people do with any problem, because we're bringing up random problems like spilling
Right.
coffee, a relationship. But in the year 2026, and even some years before that, I think a large portion of people are doing what you're talking about, where they're taking, whether it be a big problem, a little problem, they're really dragging it on. Sorry about that. Huskies heard something. They're really dragging it on and making it part of their personality rather than making good things part of their personality.
Exactly. They make that who they are. They if I get divorced, I am now a divorced person. I am a broken person because I was in a broken relationship. And if I let that take over my life and become who I am, that bleeds over on everybody around me.
What do you think that does to you in the long run?
In the long run, it's a downhill spiral because if you redefine yourself in a negative manner, you start viewing everything in life as negative.
Kind of like the slug bug theory, or whatever you want to call it, where it's like, okay, you're not paying attention to these cars, but all of a sudden you start focusing on, like, okay, I'm looking for slug bugs, and all of a sudden they are fucking everywhere.
Exactly. If you define yourself in a negative manner, you start focusing on all the negative things happening around you, and you lose sight or ignore the positive things. You don't strive to do any positive things. Exactly. Slug book theory was perfect on that because once you feel pain and once you feel that you're hurting, everything becomes about that hurt.
Right.
Now,
Puppers, get out of there! Out of there! Come on! Out! Out! Get out! Okay, hold on. Get out of there! Out! All right, sorry about that.
okay, so anyway, when you take that pain, everything becomes about that pain. Everything becomes about that hurt. So now I'm a broken person because I'm going through a divorce. The person that I've loved and cared about no longer loves me and wants to be around me. So now when I go out and get in my car, if the seat's in the wrong position, if there's ice on the window, I'll notice the negative. I won't pay attention to the fact that my car started and has gas in it. If I go to work and somebody just looks at me, I'm going to take that as a negative look. I'm going to misperceive everything around me because I'm only going to focus on the negative. I could walk into a store and have 5 people say, "Hey, how you doing?" But I'm only going to focus on the one person that walks by me and just kind of looks at me and doesn't say anything. And that's going to start defining me. I'm only going to focus on the negative. Everything in life becomes negative. It's a downhill spiral. It leads into depression. And it's a hard dig out because you have to start realizing that there are positive things that come from that. If you can look for the positive, let's talk failed relationship. Okay, what are some of the things that are good about that? Yes, I'm hurting because of all these things we've talked about, but now I have more freedom to do the things I wanted to do.
Looking for opportunity in distress. And another thing too is, in that situation, if it failed, there was probably some reasons, so that gives you the opportunity to build on that and find something better because you know it didn't work the first time. And that's talking about like always getting back up, because
Exactly.
I mean, Rocky Balboa, man. It's not about how hard you can hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and get back up. And that's actually a life lesson in everything.
Very true, man. It's like I said, if you start focusing not only on, instead of deflecting and playing the blame game, which has become the popular mode of dealing with issues nowadays. Everything is always somebody else's fault. There's no personal accountability. If you take that time to really look inside yourself, what could I have done differently, and what can I change about me? I now need to focus not on what I've lost. I need to focus on rebuilding what I have.
Right.
And
because you're never not without anything. Like, there's always
exactly.
something. As long as you're alive, there is something. And that's
Exactly.
really important, too, to realize that you are not tied down to objects or just relationships. Like, human interaction is important, but not everyone is important. And I know that's a fucked up thing to say, but there's plenty of fish in the sea. You hear that reference all the time. And sometimes these people are not good for you, and you're going to have to find your people.
Well, and from experience, again, you know, I mentioned I've been divorced 4 times, and each time you go through that grieving process, I've had terrible things happen to me in my life that I could have let define me.
Right.
But what I have realized over time is every time a door closes, another opportunity arises to even be happier and for life to be better. You just have to be looking for those open doors, and sometimes you've got to grab the knob and turn it.
Right.
For that door to open.
It's not going to open automatically for you.
Right. Just because you lose something doesn't mean something's going to pop up. And even if it does, you've got to be able to recognize that. And if you're still hung up in blame game and grieving, you're not going to attract those situations and those types of people that are going to help you become more positive.
Now, this will probably lead to a whole new topic later, but I just came up with it in my head as you were saying that. There are those who wait and those who create. And that's 2 things that I'd say. Because you can wait for things. You really can. Things can fall on your lap, and sometimes it's for the wrong reasons. But it does. It happens.
Yeah.
Good things can happen to people, even if you're in a bad situation. Like he said, though, you need to be able to recognize that an opportunity is being presented. But if no opportunities are being presented, it is up to you to create them.
Yes, it is. And
that's a more natural form of opportunity, is the opportunity that you create.
exactly. If you stay depressed and you stay negative, you are going to draw in negative and depressed people. So you can misery loves company. And you're going to find other miserable people to be miserable with. And to paraphrase what Flux was just talking about there, I have a little bit of a different quote. There are those that want and those who will, and the world and all of its treasures will always belong to those who will. Meaning, you can sit there and be miserable and hope your life gets better. But unless you get off your ass and do something about it to make your life better, it's never going to happen.
Right.
You'll be stuck in that downward spiral loop of misery and depression. But if you get out of it and you take the action, you focus. Again, think of something you've always wanted to do in your life, but you never had the time to do. Well, you now have the time to do it.
You also got to think, did you ever not have the time?
Well, oftentimes in a relationship, you're bogged down with routines.
Oh, see, if
and
we're talking
responsibilities.
we're talking about relationships, and yeah, I can see where that can go in, but at the same time, so I'm gonna refer back a lot to like things that don't really make sense to life, or you're not gonna think they make sense, but whether that be like my gaming or exercise, hunting, shooting, stuff like that, it all sounds so, I don't know, niche and just for fun, but there's a lot of life lessons in that stuff too. And I mean, you already know that, but I'm just talking to the camera at this point,
Right.
One of the lessons you learn is if there's anything you want, and I'm going to use lifting as an example, or even weight loss, you are going to find the time to do it. And even if it's in little increments, like little steps, you can find, even if you can find 5 minutes a day. 5 minutes a day is something. It's better than not doing anything at all. So in these situations, because we're talking about going through a bad time, but let's say you're not going through a bad time and your time is still taken up, whether it be family, responsibilities, you are going to have some time where you can do something. The only ab workout I do is 4 minutes. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
It's 4 minutes.
And again, it's the want and will. If I want to be in better shape, I can sit on the couch and want it all I want. Nothing's going to happen. It's not until I will it to happen and take some action. And it doesn't have to be an overnight process. Change is never a snap of the fingers overnight process.
Right.
Change takes time, it takes effort, and the more you're willing to put into it, the better result you're going to get.
Absolutely. So, to give people a little bit more perspective or insight as to who we are, and it can be a rough conversation, but it's just a share. Because right now, you guys are hearing our opinions on something, but I guess it'd be better to show you a practice of it. What is one of, it doesn't have to be the hardest thing, but what's something hard you had to go through recently where you put into practice what we're talking about right now?
Well, I'll tell you, going into retirement was very tough. A lot of things that you don't think about and plan for. Especially, I went into a secondary or tertiary retirement mostly because of COVID illness. And so physically I didn't have the energy or the capability to really do anything about it. And I was a few months away from being able to get Social Security. So the financial problem starts becoming a burden. You start burying yourself, and pretty soon you find yourself looking at it going, with all the interest rates, I cannot keep up.
Right.
Now, there are options. Yeah, you can go get another job, but then it cuts Social Security. There are all kinds of balances in life you have to take with it. But there are solutions out there, and the key to it was to look for and to coordinate with my partner those solutions and then take the steps to take care of it. Found the solution and working, the finances to get them back to where we can live the lifestyle we've become accustomed to. It took a little bit of work, but we're there and we're working through that. But at the same time, I'm trying to get healthy and get over this long-term COVID stuff, dealing with financial issues, which creates relationship stress. And so you can take that and go into a shell and not talk about it and just become feeling worthless, feeling like you can't support your family, feeling like you're not going to be able to ever dig out of this and do anything that you like to do. Or you can take the steps, have those hard conversations, and dig yourself out back to a place in life where you're comfortable again. And it's been quite a struggle, and it took work and it took time. It didn't happen overnight, but it works.
Do you think that, and I mean, it's a dumb question, but just honestly, because a lot of people out there right now who go through some things decide to go the other route, and it's just good to hear it out loud. If you decided to go the route of what we were talking about, where all of a sudden you have these negative things and that's what you're focused on, and that is all that you are going to focus on, and you get into the habit of just bitching about it and not handling these things, how much worse off do you think you'd be right now if you gave in and didn't continue pushing?
Well, you know what? There's an easy answer to that, because the reality is, if I'd have gone in the downhill spiral and just into depression mode and into the blame game, I would have lost my relationship, my marriage. I would have lost my home. I would have lost everything I had and had to either pick myself up and start over with nothing by myself, or the option that some people choose when they get that depressed, then you just end it all because life isn't worth living.
Right.
So, I mean, it could go to that extreme if you allow it to.
And see, when we're talking about different levels of problems, from my perspective, because what I deal with, I haven't been in a long-term marriage. So to me, that's a big fucking level. In my opinion, that's a big level. In comparison to the guy who spilled his coffee. You know what I mean?
Right.
That's
right.
It's a pretty
huge
good
difference. Huge difference.
Yeah, and I'm not saying the guy who spilled his coffee doesn't have a right to be upset about spilling his coffee, but there are other things out there, and so you're hearing about a situation that I would say is on a different level that was handled really well, and the outcome was something really great on something to that level. So the guy who spilled his coffee, I ask you, is it the end of the world? And spilling your coffee is a metaphor for lower
smaller
levels,
problems
for lower
in life.
levels, not actually spilling your coffee. I know a lot of you are not genuinely fucking upset for weeks on end that you spilt coffee. But then again, it is 2026, and I've heard some things. But that story of, the successes over the issues you were having, I mean, that's no little thing, guys. I mean, if you look behind us, that's another thing. Take a moment to just examine good things around you. Look behind us. Look at how freaking nice those trees are. How green, like how good it looks back there. This awesome fire pit right here. He doesn't work that out. That's not there no more. That's not his.
It's all gone. Everything that I've worked for and built for 26 years is gone. And these are all things that are positive that I had. If I had chosen to go into depression mode and blame game, instead of focusing on, wow, I've got this beautiful home, I've got this fire pit, I've got a hot tub, I've got a shed, I've got all these things that we've worked for, these trees that we've planted. This is everything a culmination of years of work. And to walk away from that because I'm too stubborn to pull my head out of my ass and play the blame game and become depressed and ignore my issues, to me, that's just insanity.
Yeah. And to add on, because I asked the question, there's another realization you guys got to take, especially being younger, and you can just think that it's because it's my father, but that couldn't be farther from the truth. With age does come experience. I'm not saying age is given immediate respect just because of a certain number, but people have been through a lot more than you have been, so I'm not going to make a whole thing about me. I'm just going to simplify my answer. Not crazy long ago, it was still a while ago. I don't want to get into nitty gritty or recent things because I'm still working some shit out myself. But one thing that was kind of a big deal, I had a relationship that affected me pretty hard, and I drank a lot. I got really fucking fat, really depressed. I didn't have my dog yet. Felt really alone, and it was nobody's fault but my own, because I'm not very good at bringing up the real deep things with people. Like, I can, and if it gets to a certain point, I will. And this is one guy that I'd be willing to talk about with those things, I'd talk to him about that stuff. But a lot of the time I don't. So it's not just about being overweight. It's just kind of like, at that point, I didn't want to do anything. There's no reason to do anything. And it wasn't just because of the relationship. It's just I felt worthless because nothing that I wanted to do was going my way. And then that last thing that was holding it together goes away. And for months, I'd say I just committed to not doing shit. I was committed to not doing anything. And like he said, if you don't pick yourself up out of that, that kind of just becomes what it is. And then you lose all the glory you previously had. And in in the end, we all have something. And you can lose it all. It's possible. Losing it all does mean losing your life. It does mean pushing everything good away. And you can do that. But I found other things to find comfort in. I mean, one of the first things was I found my dog. It's silly, but that dog meant a lot to me. She was there for me. I didn't sit there and, use her as a therapist, but she was there for me. Unwavering loyalty. I decided that if I'm going to do better, I probably should take care of myself. So I did. And the more I took care of myself, the better I felt. The better I feel, the more I can do. The more I can do, the more I accomplish. The more I accomplish, I mean, that's just easy work,
It's the uphill spiral versus the downhill spiral.
Because everything does kind of go in a circle. And that can be a good circle, that can be a bad circle. This talk is more or less just saying that you can get out of bad things. You can.
And that there are different levels of bad things, and everybody's going to choose to perceive their personal tragedy at their level. It's how they choose to perceive it. And then the focus, again, it's what are you going to do about it? Or are you going to try to ignore it? It's not going to go away. Or are you going to try to focus and do something to get out of it and become positive and start dragging yourself out of that pit of despair? But again, digging yourself out of that pit of despair can be difficult if all you're focused on is the negative and the tragedy. You have to focus on the positive things in life. And Flux mentioned these puppies, man. These huskies keep us rolling. I have responsibilities. He has responsibilities. I mean, every day, these dogs don't take a day off. They need to be fed. They need to be loved. They need attention. They need exercise. And it forces you to do it because they give you unconditional and unwavering love and loyalty. And that's what they expect in return is your time. And if you're depressed and just sitting on the couch, they feel that too. It affects them in a much similar way to your state of mind affects all those around you. You've got to pick yourself up and start being around people that are positive, people that you can talk to, that can empathize. Those people are out there. Again, we sit here and talk. We've both been through issues. We have history of fighting through things. Everybody in life has had to fight through something.
Well, and I was even mentioning, because when I brought up my thing, I had said, that's what I'm willing to talk about right now. There is more, right? There's always more. Everyone's fighting a battle, and I don't want to talk about it right now. But that doesn't mean it's closed off, but I'm dealing with it, right? And that's what everybody is doing. We're all dealing with something, whether others know about it or not. But the best way is to pick yourself up. Take the hit as it is, and just go with it.
Well, that's it. And you bring up a great point. Everybody's fighting their own demons. Everybody is fighting their own demons. It's how much they're willing to put into the fight and how much they drag others into that fight. We all have our issues, and we should all have those people we can discuss them with. But the big point is you've got to keep moving forward. Years ago, my wife had cancer. She came down with Hodgkin's lymphoma. You hear the word cancer. I'm telling you now, you think that's the end of the world. Because people hear cancer, it always means somebody's going to die. And yet, with modern medicine, there are treatments, there are things you can do. And I was blessed to have a wife that was so strong. She went through chemotherapy sessions and radiation sessions and never missed a day of work. We kept a normal routine. We focused on that. The symbol that I chose for the foundation we kind of started and got rolling with, you can find it on Facebook to this day, Help Tara Fight Hodgkin's Lymphoma, and the logo is a shark. Because if you know anything about sharks, their breathing mechanism, they always have to be moving forward. If they're not moving forward, they will die. And it's much same metaphorically to us in life. If you're not moving forward, you're suffering a slow death.
I'd like to add on to that for those of you who have been curious about my tattoos. That's what that is about.
That is a shark tattoo.
It is a tribal shark because that is similar to the symbol that was used for that on the page. My name is in there because it was a family tattoo idea. So we got our names in there as well, but I wanted something that had meaning. And I was reminded of that struggle. And the crazy part about this struggle, which it was a struggle, it was looked at in such a great light, I almost did this, struggle. I almost air quoted the struggle. It definitely was. But the way that she handled it was so incredible. I mean, I have told some of you guys about it. During the chemo treatments, this woman would keep an ice pack strapped to her head, freezing cold. I couldn't do it for a second. I put that shit on my head just for fun to see. I held it there for maybe 6 seconds before I'm like, nope, not me. She kept it there the whole time throughout all of her treatments, laughing, smiling, all to keep as much hair as she possibly could. Like that's what we're dealing with here. That's the strength and endurance of this woman during cancer. So again, I urge you guys to pay attention to the coffee spilling, right? If someone can handle a big situation like that with that much grace, what can you do with a simple coffee spill?
Very valid point. Looking back on that time of our life, things stayed pretty much normal. Again, she didn't miss a day of work. We continued the positive laughing and joking with each other. The focus wasn't on, oh my God, I have cancer. The focus was on, we're going to kick cancer's ass. And we teamed up, not only as a family, but we had friends that kicked into it and held functions. We threw parties. We threw a poker game, and the winnings went to help pay for the treatments. They can be very expensive, man. It's the other devastating thing, not just the physical part you go through with cancer, but the financial part. We had friends throw benefits. We had huge benefits with raffles, and everybody was so positive and uplifting that it helped keep her spirits up, and she fed off that strength, and we fed off her strength. And looking back at it in hindsight, man, it was a blip in time. But the reality is, it was almost a year that we went through all this, and yet we look back, and I can't think of a negative memory from that time.
Yeah, I mean, knowing about the cancer was obviously a negative thing, but if we're talking about how it was handled, yeah, no, we kept our heads up pretty well. And looking back on this now, just talking about it, it's funny because I'm coming to realizations of how strong we had been then, how much stronger I can be in different situations coming up, and what has already happened. Makes me think of like, wow, there's some strength we even lose that we need to get back.
Mm-hmm.
And having a simple talk like this can really put that into perspective. So, not only should you listen to talks like this, I think you should have them.
Oh, I would agree. I would
I think
agree.
it's pretty important. It's brain exercise.
Mm-hmm.
I did have a couple more things I wanted to cover during this, but we've done pretty well with what we've talked about so far. Maybe I save the next two for tomorrow, because I want to keep having things to push out to you guys, because I think these talks are going to be pretty good. This is our first time doing it. It's pretty scuffed right now. I mean,
Yeah.
we did impromptu positioning, you know. The table was here, so we sat here. Didn't have the cameras ready, you know, like for my streaming stuff. I can do a laptop, a camera, and a nice mic. We can get down to the nitty gritty, but as we're starting this, I'm going to learn along the way. So doing it pretty bare bones at the moment. But if you guys like this stuff, and if it goes well, I mean, we're just going to keep improving from there. I did something earlier you should have seen. I did a solo thing out here. I told you about it yesterday. Hated it so much I deleted it. I'm not going to give myself the option on this one. We're posting it no matter how many times one of us may have fucked up or how shitty I may have looked. This one's getting posted regardless. So,
Well, we hope to be able to bring you new information, subjects, and uplifting matter on a daily basis as we sit and have our coffee, enjoy our morning, get our day started, and we've had these type of discussions every day for years, and we've never really thought about putting them out there. Well, I can't say we've never thought about it.
yeah, well, he's been doing something along these lines. And you know, I do the streaming shit, as you guys know as well. But he's been doing talks with a good buddy of ours. And it's been like helpful stuff like this. Some of it has been, you know, a little political, and I don't give a shit where you guys swing with things. We're not gonna do as much politics on this stuff. The only politics I think we're really gonna be talking about are the common sense ones of like how it should affect you, and you know what you can do as an individual rather than what you can do on a political level, because honestly we don't have a whole lot of power in that front. I think we need to focus on the things we can control first.
Well, really, I mean, if you think about it, how many friendships have been lost in the last 6 months between people that were good friends that now hate each other, that argue, that has even led to fights in the street over, let's just say, the Epstein files. People have their panties in a wad. Everybody's playing the blame game. Everybody's reading their own information, has their own sources, and they are dragging themselves into hatred and negativity over something we have zero control over.
Well, my favorite thing about that too, and this is kind of like the extent of politics that we're gonna go. What we're saying right here, like this is about how far that line goes.
How deep that's gonna go.
But my biggest thing about that too is all these people with insider information. Who the fuck are you?
Yeah, who's your insider?
How are you gonna know this shit? I'm talking to the average Joe who's talking about like, oh, they're gonna do this, they're gonna do that, and I know this, and this is how it's gonna turn out. Dude, you are a fucking cog in the wheel like the rest of us. You don't know shit.
And none of us know, or probably will ever know, the extent of the Epstein files, who was involved, to what level, and on it. Realistically, let me ask you, how does it affect your life?
Right, and
how does any of it have anything to do with your daily life?
See, and it's a fucked up reality of what has happened with that, and we just hearing about it are sick to our stomachs, and we want people to be held responsible, and I totally understand that.
Mm-hmm.
I'd even go as far to say, now, another kind of political thing, anybody who does something like that, I'm down with the death penalty.
Oh yeah,
Like,
absolutely.
I'm ready. Let's fireline them.
But let's get the facts.
But I don't have the power to do that, and neither do you.
No.
So, in these trying times, I urge you guys to focus on what matters, yourselves, your families, and do what you can to make life great, because we all only have one. Time is limited. We're not all here forever. And you want things to be good for your children, right? And that's part of why people are so into politics, or, you know, even joining the military. You want to make the world a better place for the next generation. But I can tell you, it does start at home. All that starts at home.
Yeah, it does. And it starts with the things you have control over, the things that you can focus on to make your life and the life of those around you better. Me complaining about somebody else's issue or even my own issue isn't helping anybody.
Right. Well, I think it's a pretty good wrap.
Yeah, I think it was a good chat this morning, and it led to a lot of segues for us to hit in the future broadcasts.
Absolutely. Hell yeah, dude.
All right. Well,
I spilled my coffee.